From Studio 1Z, with the latest news, commentary, and weather, it's the KZRG Morning News Watch on Newstalk, KZRG.
It's FM 102.9, 105.9, AM 1310, and on your smart speaker, it is Newstalk KZRG. Ted Bojorquez and Steve Scott. And joining us this morning is Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft. How you doing this morning, Jay Ashcroft?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here. Now, Jay Ashcroft, you've been serving as Secretary of State of Missouri for some time now. Why governor? Why do you feel now is the time to take on the big chair?
Well, I've been serving as Secretary of State for 7 years, going on 8, really. The people have been great to me about that. I'm running for governor because I think we need to do better as a state. We're missing opportunities to elevate the opportunity for the people of Missouri to be the best that they can be. We're seeing states like, frankly, Iowa and Kansas and Arkansas that are making decisions that we lag behind in to increase opportunity for the people of the state. I've done pretty much what I can do as Secretary of State. I think it's good to have new blood come in so I don't stay there in that seat too long and start to think it's mine instead of the people's seat. And also there's things that need to be done that I can't get done as Secretary of State.
Missouri gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft, I'm glad you brought that up because Missouri Governor Mike Parson had approved National Guard troops to go to Texas to help with the border. Under an Ashcroft, Missouri, what role do you see the state playing in national and international politics? Is that something you would be interested in expanding Missouri's reach to other states, so to speak?
It's very important. Unfortunately, we have such a big problem in Washington, D.C. There's gridlock and either total ineptitude or, frankly, people that hate American exceptionalism and don't want us to be the nation that we've been. The only way to fix that is to fix it from the outside. For states and for executive leadership in the states to force change on the national government. I mean, we see what states have done on the border to make that a national issue, to push to require the federal government to respond. We need states that are not only getting alongside of Texas and providing troops and saying, what can we do? But we need states that are going to be fighting in the courts. And frankly, we need states that will quit subsidizing illegal aliens. Republican and Democrat alike, multiple governors in a row, we continue to provide support for illegal aliens and use your taxpayer dollars to subsidize illegal immigration. It's ridiculous, and we got to put a stop to it.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft here on Newstalk KZRG. You know, parts of the Missouri legislature have been making some headlines for some time now, really a lot of this session, about being a bit of a mess. I'm not here to name names, of course, but, the Senate, it's been slow going in the Missouri legislature in terms of getting conservative issues dealt with. If elected governor, what role would you play in helping refocus them, helping get more conservative legislation passed?
Well, we've had a problem where we've had a lack of leadership from the executive. The average, everyday individual in this state probably can't name one of the governor's top 3 priorities. The governor's office, you need a leader there that will use that bully pulpit, that will create a vision and lead the state in that direction. You also need a governor that's willing to go to state representative districts, that's willing to go to state senate districts when legislators act badly and don't vote the right way, and take his appeal directly to the people and say, this is what we need. We haven't had that leadership. We haven't had a governor that would both work with the legislature but also work against them when they were behaving badly.
And what would your top 3 goals be, Jay Ashcroft, for the legislature as governor?
My top 3 goals are education reform. I want to make sure that parents are in charge of education, not unelected bureaucrats or school board members, but mom and dad. That is the lowest and best form of government. They know their children best. They should be in charge of the money. They should be able to hold schools accountable. They should be able to say, well, my child number 1 should go to this school. Child number 2 would be better served here. I think that will also not only give us better educational achievement, it'll raise up teachers and make them more powerful in educational institutions. In Missouri, fewer than 25% of Missouri 8th graders are proficient in math and reading. That's unconscionable. I didn't say calculus and Greek. I said math and reading, and that's after we spent $9.7 billion every year. Number two, I believe it's a core responsibility of the government to provide for public safety. Our government is failing at that. We saw in Kansas City where the mayor of Kansas City, Clinton Lucas, was actually suing me so that he could defund his police. We saw in the city of St. Louis where we've had problems with prosecutors that won't prosecute criminals, and the city will defund their police. We need a governor that's going to make sure we have truth in sentence, that we back our police, that the state takes over the control of the St. Louis Police Department. Because criminals don't just stay in the city limit, they spread. And it's a core responsibility of the government to provide for public safety. And number three, we've got to get our size and scope of our government under control. Our government has doubled in the last 5-6 years, and there is no one in this state that feels like they get twice as good a government as they did 5 or 6 years ago. That's money that people can't use for their families. That's money that they miss and have to put stuff back on the store shelves. We need a governor that will get rid of our income tax, that'll help with economic growth, that will tell people that we're subsidizing for not working. No, you have to start working. It will require us, when we get rid of their state income tax, to cut government spending. That's what we need to lead this state and to make Missouri what it ought to be.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft here on Newstalk KZRG. And Jay, that's a very interesting point you made about sort of reining back in the size and scope of government. And tax cuts is always, I think I'm always very pro. I think it's always very good stuff. Would you, under an Ashcroft, Missouri, if elected governor, would you be cutting roles, like jobs within the government as well? Or do you think that by cutting the amount of tax that that comes in, it would require certain jobs to be cut as a result?
We have to stop spending. We don't have a revenue problem in this state. We have a spending problem in this state. There are things that we can do because of economic growth when we get regulation out of the way. Most economists say that the GDP is messed up by 10 to 15% just because of red tape. But we need to cut spending. We're going to need to cut programs. That will necessarily mean that there will be some people that are now working for the state of Missouri that in 5 years will not be. But we have record low unemployment. We want to make sure that people are being as productive as possible and getting government out of the way. And you got to cut. That's the problem. You got to stop spending.
Yeah. It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft here on Newstalk KZRG. Jay, we're up against the clock here, but I had a question about a hot button issue when it comes to, especially as we're gearing up here to the 2024 elections, and that is voter ID laws and election security. If elected governor of the state of Missouri, how will you ensure that we continue our pretty decent track record of election security and this pushback against voter ID laws that we're seeing from the left?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. As Secretary of State, I took Missouri from being ranked 10th in the nation with our election laws with heritage up to being in the top 3. There are more things that need to be done. I will always protect photo ID and that requirement, but we also need to require proof of citizenship for anyone that wants to register or for anyone that wants to vote. We need to set it up so that voter registrations expire, so that our voter registrations will automatically be cleaned up over time, and we've got to look at the audit so we can do a better job of auditing our elections, and we ought to have random audits just to make sure that people can trust elections and know that they made the difference.
Nice. I love it. I love it. It sounds good to me. It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Jay Ashcroft here on Newstalk KZRG. Jay Ashcroft, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. It's Newstalk KZRG.